just download it, and it has helped hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the world that have had the virus infection that was, for a while there. So it was so easy to share it, because anybody that asks us, what can I do? My relative is sick with this and that. So I say, okay, here's the protocol. So we'll send it. So we want everybody to do that. If you have somebody that have even any kind of lung conditions, it's been very helpful. So if it's somebody that has pneumonia or upper lower respiratory infection, you can just share it. So it's been a blessing. It's been just an easy way to reach other people. So today I want to share, so what we do again in our courses, we have a weekly content. We train people for 6 weeks. So 6 Sundays we live, and we do 2 hours training. And also we have in our website, here in this website, we have lectures, the scientific lectures about everything that we do, what we do. And Dr. Joyce is the person that presents those lectures. Then we have videos about how we prepare these foods, because these foods are from scratch. We don't eat anything that is processed, 0 process, because we believe that, if we're going to help people with very difficult conditions, it had to be the best of best foods that they can eat. So then we have videos how to prepare these foods that are anti-inflammatory, therapeutic, but also taste good. We're very sure that these foods are going to taste good, because we want people transitioning from processed foods to unprocessed foods that also taste good. So we have those videos, and we have also natural remedies. We have the Bible and the Health in the Bible lessons, and also the pioneeral work. So you can check us out. It's in menmissionary.com. So we do this every 2 to 3 months. We train a new group, so we're very active in the medical missionary world. But today I want to share something very practical, and it's going to be our protocols. And we're going to find that in week 3. Week 1, what we do is we teach them how to do a lifestyle health evaluation, and then week 2, we teach them how to apply our menus, and it's also a shopping list. And week 3, we do the protocols. So that's what we're going to talk today. So I'm going to go there, week 3. I log into the website. Here's the protocol. So we just believe that it's very important to train people with something simple and practical. So I hope this is downloaded. Let me see.
It's down below. Can you see it down below?
Okay, you're right. Usually goes up there. Okay, so here is the protocol. I'm just going to make it bigger. Okay, so, we teach them this protocol is usually for 2 to 4 months. We focus on people with autoimmune disorders, because we believe that these are very difficult conditions. And so it's very important for people to eat all the group of foods that God has given us. And so we have here the fats. Fatty acid seeds at this time. We eat in this therapeutic protocol from 2 to 4 months. We eat sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. They are soaked and sprouted. It's very important for us to be sprouted, because they're more digestible and they have better nutrition content. And then we do the omega-3s, and we do the omega-3s every day, because if we don't do the omega-3s, we're going to have an imbalance of the omega-6 and 3. So it's very necessary to eat every day some omega-3, and we're going to go for the servings pretty quick. So omega-3s are flaxseed, chia seeds, and purslane. These grow in the summer. Then we have the pseudograins. At this period, 2 to 4 months, we call it the therapeutic plan. What we do is we use pseudograins instead grains. And the reason is because grains are harder to digest, So we use the pseudograins, and the pseudograins are buckwheat, quinoa, amaranth, cañiwa. So those are the pseudograins that we use, and we soak them, we sprout them, we cook them well, and then, then people that couldn't tolerate grains, and usually they can tolerate this way. Then we have other fats that we use, usually is coconut, avocados, olives. So just realize we remove nuts at this period because nuts are a little harder to digest. We remove grains at this time. We only do it pseudograins, but we're using other fats. So we want to be sure the diet is very balanced and anti-inflammatory. Then we do cruciferous, and the cruciferous, some people can have issues with cruciferous, especially people that deal with hypothyroidism, Hashimoto. So the cruciferous had to be steamed in order to be easier to digest. And we do a portion every day, which we will go over the portions. Later, greens, we want people to eat as many drinks as they can. So we want to eat large amounts of greens because greens are very anti-inflammatory. Today we brought our greens, we blended, because there was a lot of greens and blended and makes a smaller amount. So it's just easy that way, so we blended and made it taste good because we put avocado and put salt and lemon. So it's kind of like a pesto. So I eat that way every day. I don't blend it per se. I kind of process them, so I don't have to chop and chop and chop. So I have this big blender, it's called Thermomix. In 7 seconds, chop up my vegetable really fine. Put some avocado and salt and lemon, so it tastes really good. But I eat a lot of greens. Then we have the roots, starchy roots, and so we eat sweet potatoes, yams, yuca, malanga, and taro. So we remove nightshades. No nightshades at this period, because we know, especially if people deal with arthritis, it just brings them back the pain. So, throughout these years, because we help people specifically with autoimmune disorders, so they come from all over with all kind of conditions, and we realize arthritis is very tough. So arthritis, you have to work harder and have to remove even more foods of, the regular foods. There is some foods that they cannot process until we find foods that are easier, and then pain disappears. Usually, nightshades is a big issue for arthritis. So we remove for our protocol nightshades for a time, these 2 to 4 months until people, all the symptoms are gone. Then we have other vegetables that are not nightshades. Then we have anti-infective foods. We like to eat a lot of anti-infective foods. Garlic, it's going to be in our protocol. You'll see soon. We have onion, green onions, radishes, leeks, chives. So we eat large amounts of this to balance our bacteria, because we believe a part of the problem with autoimmune disorders, the bacteria is very unbalanced. So the microbiome is very unbalanced, and these foods are going to help us. So when I'm not feeling good, I'm like not having enough energy, I load myself with garlic, and then I feel fine. So we eat in a way that it tastes well, and we will show you in a moment. Then we have legumes. Legumes, some people can have problems with legumes, but that's why we sprout them. We soak them and sprout them. Sometimes we had to make people, I was talking to this lady, has been sick for many years, so I'm coaching her, and she was telling me, she is having really hard time with legumes. She cannot eat legumes, and gives her a lot of heartburning, and she cannot sleep, and she's in a lot of pain. So for her, what we said is, okay, when you do your seeds, even cereals, you cook, bring it to boil, rinse it up, bring it to boil, rinse it up, and then cook it. And then usually they can tolerate it that way, because there's a lot of anti-nutrients that have to be removed, and then they can do it. Because we're dealing with very, very difficult conditions, so we have to do extra things. And then we have fruits. We do the low glycemic fruits. So we have the pomegranate. Pomegranate, for some reason, is good, even though that's sweet, but for some reason it balances the bacteria. green apples, kiwi, grapefruits, all berries. So we base our fruits on those, and for 2 to 4 months until the symptoms are gone, and then we reintroduce the sweet fruits. Any type of fruits, we reintroduce the legumes, all the legumes. Some grains could be still problematic. We definitely remove gluten, that is being a problem for a lot of people. So things like this, the things that we will reintroduce later on are the grains. For example, millet, rice, wild rice, sorghum, teff. These are grains that people do well. People that have been dealing with autoimmune. But people with autoimmune that don't do well is oats, and oats, corn, and gluten. Those are 3 things that they don't do well. So we haven't tested, it's a stool test that is a GI lab that created by a GI doctor from Texas University. And this is the lab I went when I was sick and nobody could figure it out what I had. And I was on plant-based and I was eating really healthy. I was juicing. I was very sick. So I did this lab, and it showed that I was having food sensitivities to staple foods, foods that I ate all my life. And I just didn't make sense to me why this was happening. So that's when I started, researching and studying what was happening with the food. So, and then we realized, the GMOs, all the stuff that happened with glyphosate, things like that. So I removed those foods I was reacting to, and I started recovering. So we have people to test themselves, to be sure that they're not reacting to those foods, so they can maintain good health once they recover. Then we have, so these are all the nuts that they can reintroduce. I just want to show you here, and the legumes, these are the legumes that are easier to digest. So these are, we found out the navy beans, split peas, or the peas, mung beans, lentils of all kinds, black beans and black-eyed peas, they're easier to digest. Not all of them necessary, but most of them people can digest, people dealing with autoimmune. So the legumes that are harder to digest are pinot beans, kidney beans, garbanzo, lima beans. So because they have lots of lectins and anti-nutrients, so what we do is just remove them for a while. And there's a lot of studies that showing that these foods, specifically these ones, they have large amounts of lectins on it. So we reintroduce them after the period of recovery. So these are the servings, and we believe that when we eat plant-based, when people get sick, it's because they don't eat balanced plant-based. So sometimes people can have a green smoothie in the morning, and then it's a healthy thing, right? A green smoothie, if they do it right. But then they're very sick. Why? Because they're missing a lot of the other foods. To be balanced, a plant-based, and we work with the dietitian to be sure our menus are well balanced. And so berries, we're supposed to have 1 to 2 servings of berries a day, and that will be half a cup is 1 serving. So we can have 1 cup, half a cup to 1 cup a day of berries. So we do that for breakfast because we separate the fruits and vegetables and greens because we want to follow all the principles that God has given us to the Spirit of Prophecy that says not to mix vegetables and fruits. So we divided fruits for breakfast and greens for lunch. And then we have other fruits, 3 servings. So we already told you about what fruits. And then we have here omega-3s, is 1 to 3 servings. So the omega-3, we do the flaxseed. Flaxseed, we want to be sure that it depends on the age also. If you're post-menopause, you're supposed to have 4 tablespoons. And really, you follow this diet, and then you also do 4 tablespoons of flaxseed. Your symptoms or hot flashes, in general, they're gone. So it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to build up the omega-3 in your body to start working. So, for example, somebody that has a man that has an issue with the prostate. So we will say, okay, 3 tablespoons. They have cancer of the prostate, we say 4 tablespoons, because they have to balance the hormones. And we learned this from a urologist, a friend of us. So all the people that we help that have issues with the prostate, so we raise the omega-3, the flaxseed specifically, because it has phytoestrogens. So, but if it's somebody premenopause, it'll be 2 tablespoons. If it's somebody younger, that'll be 1 tablespoon. And a man also, if it's below 40, 1 tablespoon, about 40, we'll do 2 tablespoons. So it's gonna depend. Then we have the pseudo grains, because we do these pseudo grains before, it's gonna be 3 to 4 servings. So these are the servings. Half a cereal, so you can have 1 cup of cereal, that'll be 1 serving. Then you have 2 tortillas, that's 4 servings, huh? Or you have a slice of bread, or if you can eat half a cereal and then 2 slices of bread, that'll be your servings. So fatty acid seeds is 1 serving. 1 serving is gonna be 1/4 cup or 2 tablespoons of butter. We make our own butter, and we make butter out of coconut with sunflower seeds, or coconut, pumpkin seeds, or just plain coconut. Some people cannot tolerate the sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. That people, especially people that have very serious autoimmune, so coconut seems to be good, but you have to be careful if they have issues with cholesterol, things like that. You have to also be not overdo it. So legumes is gonna be 3 servings, so half a cup is 1 serving. So how much you're gonna eat? It's 1.5 cups about of legumes a day. So this lady called me yesterday, Thursday, and she was telling me, my doctor told me not to eat legumes because I have breast cancer, it's hormonal cancer. So what he meant is probably soy, right? So he has soy hormones and things like that. But in general, legumes are actually good for even breast cancer. So we want to be sure we eat legumes every day. And but this lady understood that no legumes at all. So she's not eating any legumes. So her meals are not balanced, and she's plant-based. So then we have cruciferous, one portion a day, so 1 serving a day. So it's half a cup is 1 serving. So we don't want to eat so much cruciferous. We want to eat a lot of greens, non-cruciferous greens, but cruciferous we should eat daily because they're powerful greens, but we do it half a cup every day, which is a good amount. And greens here is 2 cups, so it's a minimum. So 2 servings, so 1 serving is 1 cup, so 2 cups minimum of greens. And this is a game changer. This is very important. I've been also working with cardiologist. She's have a program for cardiology. So she said for people with problems with heart problems, 5 servings a day. So then we have other vegetables. It's 2 servings, so half a cup is 1 serving. And other herbs, we have 1 to 3 servings a day. So turmeric, we do, so it's 1 to 3 teaspoons a day if we do turmeric. Of course, other herbs and greens are fine. Culinary herbs, we eat a lot of those. And the anti-infective foods is 2 servings a day. 1 serving is 2 cloves about, so 1 serving, 1/4 cup of onion. So we eat a lot of that. So here is a daily routine. So we just showing you the full protocol. What we tell them, our clients, weigh yourself in the morning because you can lose weight. If you're not eating balanced, you can lose weight fast, which is good for somebody that is overweight. But somebody that's underweight and need to gain weight, which is a lot of people with autoimmune, we tell them, weigh yourself every morning, and we want to be sure that they're not losing weight. And somebody tells me that, I'm losing so much weight. Are you eating your bread for breakfast? No, I'm not eating. Well, your butter, you're not eating butter also, right? Because you're not eating bread. No, I'm not eating. Well, you have couple hundred calories a day, in a week, how many calories you're not taking, right? So So it's very important to weigh yourself. I don't allow our clients that come to our lifestyle center, even though that we do detox, I don't allow people that lost very long weight to lose. So I give them extra nutrition to them. So frequency of the meals, we want to do 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. Is the best way, because then you have a intermittent fasting after lunch. So you're doing intermittent fasting till the next day, that's amazing for longevity. There's a lot of studies that, when you do that, you're much healthier and live longer. So we do 3 meals for people that need to gain weight, but the meals have to start earlier. So they start at 7 o'clock, 12:30, and 5:30, because the hours have to be between, you have to have a rest in between meals, and you have to go, the last meal had to be early enough so you don't bring digestion to sleep, because when you sleep, you repair, so you don't want to be working, your digestion to be working during the night. So that's what we do. So breakfast, this is an example of breakfast. Amaranth, let's say cereal, it could be amaranth, quinoa, buckwheat, cañigua. So we rotate proteins, because proteins seems to be a problem with autoimmune disorders. We are having intolerance to the proteins because our digestive system is not working well. We're dealing with leaky gut and microbiome problem. So we rotate, and because we also want to have diversity of bacteria, so that's why we diversity of foods. So we eat one day amaranth, one day quinoa, one day buckwheat. Then we, of course, put our milk, and we make a milk out of coconut milk, sunflower milk, and pumpkin seed milk. Then we do our gluten-free bread, and we do breads from scratch, simple breads. Throughout the years, we had to figure out how to do this, because people cannot eat this, they cannot eat that. And, in our lifestyle center, we do food preparation training every day. And sometimes on the spot, we had to develop recipes because, sometimes we had to make 3 or 4 or 5 different recipes of the same recipe, because people cannot tolerate different foods. So we developed several bread recipes. Today, by the way, I brought for our lunch, because Dr. Joyce and I, we eat, even when we travel, we eat this, we follow this. So today we brought a quinoa salad. So we put greens there, different type of greens. We put lemon and salt, mix it up. And then we brought also red lentils. They're very easy to digest, so we made that. And so yesterday when we arrived to our place, we start soaking, because we soaked everything. So even when you travel, you can do all this. And then I bring, the seasoning, things like that, in little baggies. And, I'm so used to it, it's not a big deal for me. And also, I made bread. Before I travel, I always make bread. So today I have a seasoning bread, and I have bread for breakfast. It's a different bread. So for breakfast, I brought some quinoa bread. So, and then for lunch, I made this green split pea sprouted bread with spinach. And it's very simple. It's just spinach, split pea that's soaked and sprouted, and I put garlic and water. That's it. Salt. Blend it. Make your bread. It just tastes good. I mean, it's one of the tastiest bread you can ever have. So very simple ways to do things like this that taste good, but they're very nutritious. So we have our bread, and we have butter, and we make our butter in a food processor. Just you can buy sprouted sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds, put it in your food processor, and run it until it makes butter. Put a little salt, that's your butter. You can do that with coconut also. So then we have our smoothie. In a smoothie, we put sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds or chia or flaxseed, put carrots, shredded coconut, berries, green apple. We rotate the pumpkin seeds. One day pumpkin seeds, one day sunflower seeds, because we don't want the same protein every day. And then we have flaxseed also, as I explained before, and then turmeric. Turmeric, I take 2 teaspoons of turmeric, and when you boil it, it's 8 times better how you digest. But if you mix it with fat, it's 45.9 times better with fat. So what we do in a little bit of my smoothie, I eat my smoothie, I want to enjoy my smoothie, I don't want to damage the taste with my turmeric, so I just leave a little bit of the smoothie and put the 2 teaspoons. And I eat just small amounts. You can put it into your milk with a little honey, and that will taste good. But I don't want to take the extra time because we're all busy and we eat from scratch. So I don't do that. Then we do garlic. Remember I said garlic is, you want to balance your bacteria, right, with garlic? So garlic is going to destroy the pathogenic bacteria. It's going to build the good bacteria. This is an amazing thing to balance your bacteria. So what we do, we also mix it with lemon, and the reason is because people that have poor digestion, the lemon helps them digest proteins. So there was this person in Loma Linda, I was helping. We go like once a year to Loma Linda, and we teach the 3rd year of medical school with a class on sprouting. So every year we do that. And then this year also, Loma Linda, give me a group of students. They were the 2nd year of medical school. So I did 1 full month training them, coaching them how to work with autoimmune disorder patients. So they were with me. But, when I went to Loma Linda, one of the professors' husband, wanted me to talk to their husband. So I went there, and when I eat, I get so bloated, and he's eating healthy. He's eating our diet. So I said, drink 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So next time I went there, because I needed to pick some books or drop some books, he said, the bloating gone. So praise the Lord, something so simple. So what we do is we put 2 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, blended with 4 ounces of water. So blend it, so we drink it in our meals. You can also put it with avocado, your 2 cloves, 2-3 cloves of garlic, put pure lemon, and make it pesto. And it's not a pesto, it is guacamole. Put it into your bread. You can do it that way too. For me, we do it with water because the avocado can be expensive also to be eating so much of that. And so the minimal amount, I try less than 4 ounces, and the taste is so strong. So the minimum amount for people to be able to tolerate is 4 ounces. So that's what we do, because we don't want so much liquid. We don't want to dilute our enzymes. So that's what we do. So we do it for breakfast and lunch, 2 times a day. So this will help balance our bacteria. And then we go to lunch. So at lunch, what we do is we do these type of lentils that we said, and we soaked and sprouted. Once you learn how to soak and sprout continuously, it's very simple. At the beginning, people get overwhelmed, but when they see the difference, they really do it. Then we have starches. As I said before, we have yuca, because we don't eat potatoes at this stage. We eat yuca. Yuca is so delicious. Get familiar with yuca. Buy the yuca that is frozen. So you can just go to Asian stores, buy, they sell a bag for $2. I shouldn't say prices, but then get a lot of that, and then I just cook for the whole week. So I have my yuca in my refrigerator for the week. I cook a bunch of sweet potatoes and put it in my refrigerator. By the way, my dog loves sweet potato, and I do 1 sweet potato a day for my dog because I want to keep her healthy. And I put 1 teaspoon of turmeric, so she knows. I press it, put 1 teaspoon and mix it well, and she eats her turmeric that way. Because I had another dog that was having a lot of arthritis, dislocation of her bones, and she was limping. So when I started doing that, it went away. So I said, because this is that type of dog, I decided, okay, I'm going to prevent her from having this issue. So she gets that. By the way, my dog, I will feed her organic food, and guess what? She's 11, 10-year-old, 9 to 10. So she's an old dog, and she started bleeding. So it wasn't her period. She was bleeding, and she was bleeding for 1.5 months. I said, this is so bad, and I'm going to have to start doing her own food. So I started doing her own food, this big pot. Every week I make for her, all organic, 100% organic. So I put mung beans sprouted, and I put sweet potato, a lot of sweet potato. Also a bag of vegetables. You know, in Costco they sell this vegetables, mixed vegetables, put a bag of that. And they said they recommended to do tomatoes. So I buy organic tomato, put it in there, cook it, and guess what? Bleeding stopped. Because I thought she probably had cancer of some sort. And so the bleeding stopped. Now she become very playful again. It's very healthy. Okay, so then we have vegetables for lunch. So we have the starches for lunch, which is a variety. Yuca, sweet potato, young malanga. Are you familiar with malanga? Malanga is very tasty. Go to Asian stores. It's a big one. Has purple dots, and it's like potato. So we don't want people to miss the potato or miss the gluten. You know, have to create products foods that can replace it. So we did malanga. It's very tasty. Just cook it as make a potato salad with malanga, or just cook it. I just put some salt. Sometimes I eat with olives, or I make my own cheese, you know, out of split peas, and some things like that. And then green beans also, legumes that you can eat for lunch. I'm sorry. We'll go to vegetables. Vegetables are very important, as we said before. And you do salad and pesto. So for lunch. Now, you don't have to have pesto every day, but once every 4 days will be great, or just have big salads every day. Then we have your lemon garlic drink, right? Because it's in 2 meals, breakfast and lunch, you're gonna have your garlic lemon drink. And then we do aloe vera. People that have serious issues with leaky gut and digestive issues, that's why we do aloe vera 15 minutes before meals and at bedtime. And the aloe vera, we soak them in water, leach all this bitterness, and then, you know, every day they change the water and have that every day. So that really helps for heartburning. You know, some people are so raw. Some people come to us and they say, you know, the doctor did a scope and it's all raw from here all the way, you know, the large intestine. So for them, you know, they had to have good amounts of aloe vera. So in the morning when we wake up, we drink lemon water for people that do not have gastritis, because otherwise it's gonna be painful. So we start with water for them, but people that can tolerate, we do 1 to 2 tablespoons of a lemon juice with water. And the first thing in the morning, we wait before that. And then we have we talk about the ground flaxseed is going to be for breakfast, and the mounts. Vitamin C is a very good way of having vitamin C from the orange peel or the lemon peel. Very concentrated amount of vitamin C, but more than that, is very anti-inflammatory. There was one study that says that it can be as good as steroids. Can you believe that? So I did this with some patients that had neuropathy, serious neuropathy. I was helping this girl that had myasthenia gravis, and she had a double vision. And when I was looking this way, so we said, okay, put in your smoothie about 1/3 of an orange that is organic, so we can have, you know, the peel. But she put a small whole orange into the smoothie. Guess what? In 2 weeks, the eyes, she could see well. So the double vision went away. So we start doing this more and more in people that are suffering from neuropathies and brain issues, things like that. Turmeric, we talk about that. We do the breakfast. Now, people are really sick, we have them juice. And the juice has to be very specific. So we used to do 3/4 carrots and then 1/4 of greens. but then people that come with candida, it will get the candida worse. So what we did was switch it around. So, and we keep switching until we decided, okay, 1/3 of carrot only, and 2/3 are gonna be greens. So that's the ratio for the juices. So what we do, 3 juices a day, so we have them do the juice for the whole day. 1 juice is carrots, 1/2 cup is cucumber, 1/2 cup is lettuce, 1/2 cup is celery, and the other 1/2 cup is cruciferous. So cruciferous is not as much. So we have 2 cups of greens and 1 cup of carrots. And then we mix all that and divide it in 3. And so that's the juices for the day. And that seems to be work really well. So that's the juice, and they drink 30 minutes before meals. Now, these are the drinks for the protocol. Onion broth. So the recipe is 1 onion, about 5 cloves of garlic, a little salt, 1/2 teaspoon, 3 cups of water. That's it. So you boil it for 20 minutes, and they drink. This drink is super, super anti-inflammatory, especially people that have heartburning and very raw esophagus and stomach. We have them drink a lot of this, even 4 cups a day, to help people that have stomach cancer, things like that also help. Because there are studies that show onion has anti-cancer properties. Also, it's very anti-inflammatory. So we do this. It's very easy to drink. People really like the taste. So we do that. People that with autoimmune disorders that are not as bad, we do 1 cup a day. Then we do ginger tea. It's another superfood. So we do a cup of tea, three times a week only. Because it's stimulatory also, so we don't want to overdo with ginger tea. Then we have charcoal. So we have our clients to take charcoal, 1 tea to 1 tablespoon with 1 cup of water every night. So this is going to detoxify people with their conditions. But if they're constipated, we stop, and then we start with small amounts. But we want, usually with our diet, the constipation is going to be gone soon. I have people that have been sick for 20 years with constipation. Some people even tell me, I've been sick for all my life. I suffer from constipation all my life. So when they start following the diet, it usually takes care of the constipation. And because this is all fiber diet. And then we have the aloe vera that we already talked about it. So then we develop a schedule, because some people get confused. These are all the principles. We gave you all these principles of what we do, and people say, oh, so what time do I eat? And it's so many principles to put in, for people to know what to do exactly. So here it is, for 2 meals a day. They wait early in the morning, 6 o'clock, they do the drink lemon, and we tell them, go outside, drink your water outside. And the reason is because we want the light to come to their eyes and to balance the circadian rhythm. And then at 8:30, they do the juice, 8:45, the aloe vera, 9 o'clock breakfast. We put it in there. Don't forget the garlic lemon drink. Don't forget your flaxseed. Don't forget your turmeric. Then between meals is going to be the water, right? Because we don't want to drink any liquid with meals, so it's going to dilute the enzymes. And then we have 2:30 the juice, 2:45 aloe, 3 o'clock lunch, and don't forget your garlic lemon drink for lunch. And then they keep drinking the water later on, and then they do this is dinner. It's dinner, because they have the juice, the onion broth, the ginger tea, charcoal, aloe. And then when people have to do 3 meals a day because they need to gain weight, then the schedule is a little different. They have to start eating breakfast at 7 o'clock, same routine, exactly same routine, but 7 o'clock is breakfast, and all the drinks, garlic, flaxseed, turmeric, and then we have the water between meals, and then they start the green juice at 12 because they have to follow the routine of the aloe. Then we have the lunch at 12:30. Don't forget your garlic drink, so we put it in the schedule. Then we have the water later on, and then the juice at 5 o'clock because they're going to have dinner at 5:30. and the onion broth, and so and so. And then, so as you see, we have everything specific how to eat to recover. So that's what we do. That's a summary of what we do. And, when they come to a lifestyle center, that's what we teach. When I do coaching, because that's what I do for a living now. I stopped being a nurse. I work for the conventional way for over 20 years, and I did infusions for autoimmune. So I became very familiar. Thanks God, I work in the autoimmune community, so I became very familiar with the symptoms and what it is and all that. So it was, for me, was an easy transition into the natural way. And so we start, I decided, it was 2021, I believe, wasn't 21 or 22, I left my job, my conventional job. I was kind of worried about our finances. But when I did the transition, immediately I started doing coaching, because people always call me, what do I do for this? What do I do for that? And it's not an easy fix. And I say, okay, eat that and you'll be okay. Or eat that. It's not a natural remedies for autoimmune disorders or any condition. It is a way of living, which is, you have to learn all this. So I do 10 hours coaching, and have them apply all these principles, and until I see that they recover, and then I discharge them. But we wanted to also show this, train this to anybody that will want to learn, to be able to help other people, because we believe this is the medical missionary, very practical medical missionary. So that's what we have in our training, and so that's the protocol. And if you have any questions, we can answer now. Maybe Dr. She can also help us answering questions, if we have questions. If not, we can conclude it. Okay. Any questions there? Okay, go ahead. Oh, we're going to get the microphone. Okay, here we have a question.
Is there anything that I can do for cataracts? I'm just starting cataracts.
That will be a good question for the ophthalmologist there. Maybe you can come in a little. Yeah, but the base is always going to be a good diet, right? I will follow a good anti-inflammatory diet also, and Dr. Joyce can tell you exactly.
You want me to use this one?
Sure.
So cataracts develop for a number of different reasons. You can have medications that can contribute to them. A lot of times that happens because of blood sugar issues. That might be a more common reason. Now, when you have blood sugar issues, what ends up happening is that when you have a blood sugar spike, then you will have changes in your lens. And so it's really important that your sugar levels are consistent instead of spiking, okay? And what I mean by this is that, how many of you know what your blood sugar should be maybe fasting? Do you know what your blood sugar should be fasting? Yeah, around 80-ish, 85-ish. When it starts going up like 90 to 100, then we start getting a little concerned. By the time you hit 40 years old, you're more likely to have a blood sugar problem than not. Have you ever gotten your blood sugar checked after you've eaten? Usually you get your fasting blood sugar checked, right? And so I found out, that when I hit 40, I decided I'm going to check my blood sugar after eating. And I found out that my blood sugar was like 145 or so after eating. And I then looked that up, and I found out that's outside normal limits, actually. And so it's a little bit high. And so now I have I have an issue where my blood sugar spikes really high. It can go up to like 200 after eating. And that can be eating really good, healthy, high fiber food. Sometimes just beans, it'll cause my blood sugars to spike up to 200. And fortunately, it'll come down, especially if I'm walking and doing this kind of stuff. And that's why it's really good after you eat, we like to go on a walk, right? But nothing too heavy. Why do you not want to walk or do anything too strenuous after eating? Because you need your blood to go to your digestive system, and if it goes to the muscles trying to exercise, it won't be good. So, but you do want to walk and this kind of thing, and that'll help level your blood sugars out. When it spikes and does this, that's when you get the lens changes, the cataract and this kind of thing. And so if you are having early cataracts, I would look at the blood sugar. I would get a blood glucose monitor, check your blood sugar, maybe like half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours after eating. You can do your own blood glucose tolerance test that way, and you can check it after different kinds of food. Check it in the morning, check it in the afternoon, because it will differ depending on the time of day and the kind of foods that you're eating. And that would be the major thing that I would look at. The other thing is that if you're eating foods that interact poorly with your body, and then you go out into the sunshine, that UV light can cause issues as well. And so there's all kinds of different things that can contribute. But as Mercy was saying, the diet, lifestyle, this is the basis of what we do. We try to make everything as anti-inflammatory as possible. Did that help answer any questions? Yeah. Typically, you just like it to be a nice curve like this. So they usually say 80 to 120, 125. Out above 140 or so is outside of normal. That's not to say you have diabetes. It's just to say that's not what 95% of the population is. Although now it might be 95% of the population, since a lot of people are developing blood sugar issues. And so, but you do want to just look at these spikes. Now, if you have any kind of sugar issues, like I do, I like to wear something like this. This is a blood sugar monitor that you can have hooked up to your phone, and that way when I eat something and then I decide to check my blood sugar, and immediately I can see what my blood sugar is at that moment. It makes it very convenient. You don't have to stick yourself a lot, and so you can ask your doctor about that.
Any other questions? I guess we're done. Okay.
This gentleman has a question.
Yeah, I'm interested about the education opportunity. You said you can training people with the things you mentioned here.
Oh, you wanted to know about the Med Missionary Training Program?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for her.
So the Med Missionary Training Program, this is 6 weeks that we do, that we're live there with you. And the way that we came up with this is that when Mercy quit doing nursing and she started doing the health coaching, what she was doing is, she would do a health evaluation, and then she would teach them over the phone or by Zoom how to eat this way. And she would teach them the menu, give them the shopping list, and then be in touch with them about things, and then going through some natural remedies, having to tweak some things, and so that's how we set up the program. So it's 6 weeks where we are live with you every Sunday morning from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning Pacific time. So that would be 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. But we also have a lot of other lectures and things like that. Mercy, you should have maybe shown them like what some of the other lectures and things like that can look like. But you have like 20 scientific lectures, like what's the science behind what we do, as well as food demonstrations, how to soak and sprout, how to prepare some of these foods, how to do some of the natural remedies. So that's what it is. And we will start again. Mercy, we have a membership program, as Mercy said. And so last Thursday we started a series called How to Start a Lifestyle Center. And so it's not for people who want to start their own like 20-bed lifestyle center. It's for people who have like a home and they want to open up their home and do this kind of thing. There are some people who will, we have a doctor friend, he's an ophthalmologist as well, and they would just invite people to their home and to stay there for the weekend, and then they would cook for them and this kind of thing. So I don't have a lifestyle center, but when people come to my house, I remember I had some people come to my home. They were from a lifestyle center as well. And the husband had issues where he couldn't walk very well. He was so dizzy. He had for about like 6 months been having to walk like this because he was afraid he was going to fall over. And I said, well, you know, they were already on a plant-based diet, but I said, you know, what we do is we do organic. We don't do nightshades while you're trying to heal. We're trying to decrease inflammation, and some people don't do well with the nightshades. We don't do gluten. We cut out high-risk foods, like foods that are high-risk genetically modified. Do you know what some of those might be? Corn is over 90-some% genetically modified. Do you know what another food might be? Soy, right? So we don't use soy, we don't use corn. That's another reason why it's good that we cut out sugar from the diet. Why? Because they're growing sugar using genetically modified foods, right? And so we just are very, very careful about a lot of these things to be very consistent. And we teach our people, you know, when you go on trips, because some people say, well, how about when I go camping? What if I go travel? So we teach them how to make these staple foods in advance and take them with you, how to, you know, where to stay, and, you know, how to eat, and just how to think this way. Because a lot of times, this is the way that most Seventh-day Adventists and most human beings in general think. They think in terms of the law of averages. On average, my diet is good. When I go to church potluck, I don't know what other people are putting into the food, and so that's my time that I might get something that might cause me to get a little sick. But that's just for a day. I'll have some eczema, and maybe I'll have some bloating, some pain, and this kind of thing. And they don't realize, oh, it might take me about 3 weeks for my intestinal cells to rebuild from this. And so some people will never heal because maybe 1 week they eat pizza and they're like, well, you know, once a month I eat pizza. But then once a month maybe I eat ice cream. And then maybe once a month I'm eating something else. And so it all adds up, and pretty soon you haven't really gotten a real consistently healthy diet. And I just know this from experience because I told you I was put on that antibiotic. Did I tell you I was put on that antibiotic, right? And so when I started doing an elimination diet in 2011, I started feeling better. And then I was trying to reincorporate certain foods into my diet, and that's when I went to Years Restored and met Mercy. And that's when I was like, oh, so maybe I shouldn't try to reincorporate soy, or maybe I shouldn't try to reincorporate some of these things. And when I started eating that way and being committed to that, then I started learning more about the importance of consistency, because prior to that, I had experienced some things like I would go help at a CHIP program, and they would make like a salad dressing. And the only thing in the salad dressing that was different than what I was eating was soy sauce. But it wasn't soy sauce, it was Bragg's amino acid. And just eating the Bragg's amino acid, all the pain came back immediately. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting that one food product can have that kind of an impact. You know, one ingredient can have that kind of an impact. Like me going out to eat, a lot of these symptoms will come back when I just go out to eat, for instance. And so I really learned something from that, because I was having some lung problems, breathing issues, that I could feel when I would eat a certain way. And during COVID, I had a lady friend, she was a doctor, and she was taking care of her brother who had COVID with natural remedies. And she said, my brother was doing so much better, and then today he just crashed. And I said, oh. I said, what did he eat? She said, well, he had gluten patties. And if you're sensitive to these foods, gluten patties would be terrible for you. And for someone like me who can feel it in my lungs, it might be an issue. So these are all things to think about as you're trying to help people, and even your own self as you're trying to figure out, like, why was I doing better and then all of a sudden I'm doing worse? Why are these natural remedies working and then all of a sudden not? Why am I plateauing? And so little things like that can really make a difference. Does that make sense?
So answering the question, you go to medmissionary.com, and that's where you find us. The training is in medmissionary.com, and you can just sign for our course.
So I just want to show you, if you just go to medmissionary.com by itself, you will, so these are the lectures that we have, but there is something that is just straight on the course that you can get for free that Mercy mentioned, and that is the antiviral protocol. We had a number of people go through COVID, and some people said, this is the first time I've done anything when I got sick without taking Tylenol, without doing this and that, and it was just with these natural remedies. So you can see the oregano oil inhalations, gargling with oregano oil. Mm-hmm. This is the immune builder broth that Mercy was talking about with the onion, turmeric anti-inflammatory drink. This is the organic lemon or orange peel. So you can see there's a lot of natural remedies here, and that you can get for free. Medmissionary.com, it's the antiviral protocol, and whatever type of problem you're having to build your immune system, there's going to be a lot of remedies in there. How many of you are using natural remedies?
And we just updated this protocol. So we just updated this protocol. We added all the links, the scientific links about these natural remedies. We also we put a PowerPoint on that for our membership, people that are in our membership, in our course, to do presentations in their churches. So you can use also, when you sign up to the course, you can also be a member. And when you're a member, we will give you information how to open a lifestyle center. That's the newest things that we started. Also, how to do presentations in your churches with the PowerPoints. So we also teaching you how to coach other people. So some people like to do part-time job doing the medical missionary work. So we have lots of resources there in our course.
And Mercy has a story. There was a lady who used to work at Mercy's Lifestyle Center. Her mother had a history of kidney failure. She was on dialysis, and she ended up going into sepsis. During the time of COVID, she was admitted to the hospital, and she was getting more and more and more sick. They had put her on a lot of antibiotics, so she was getting less coherent. They had to put her into more intensive care, and she was in a lot of pain. And so she was in the hospital for about a week, wasn't getting any better, and the daughter was quite scared. So one morning as she was praying before she came to the hospital, she felt impressed to call Mercy. And she hadn't talked with Mercy for a long time. It had been a while. But she called Mercy, and she said, Mercy, my mom's in the hospital, and what do you think I should do? And Mercy said, well, if she was at home, I would do some enemas with some onion broth. How many of you have done enemas with onion broth? Yes, not what you think of doing when you see onion broth, right? So, so this lady thought, well, you know, if the Lord impressed me to call Mercy, maybe the Lord will allow me to be able to do this in the hospital. So she went to different drugstores until she found an enema bag. That was hard to find. And she prepared everything with the onion broth. She brought it to the hospital, and she prayed that the Lord would allow her to be able to apply this onion broth to her mother. And somehow, she was able to do the enema for her mother in the hospital with no nurse or doctor walking in during that time. That was a miracle by itself, wasn't it? She did it twice that day. And her mother had had a white blood cell count of 22,000, and that's high. It's usually like 5, 6, 7,000. And so she was 22,000. The next morning, her mother was doing better, and her white blood cell count had come down to 17,000. And that's the first time that she had improved in that week that she had been there. And so this daughter, she was very encouraged, and she thought, well, you know, they have her on antibiotics, we're going to do the enemas, I'm going to try to do the enemas more, but she felt very impressed that the Lord was telling her to stop the antibiotics. And so she went to the doctor and asked them to stop the antibiotics. And they had her sign a waiver, and they stopped the antibiotics that night. And she did the enema 3 times that second day. And the next morning, that mother's white blood cell count had come down to 11,000. And she was able to be discharged. Now, this is a miracle, right? I mean, we have a lot of stories of this type of thing using simple remedies like onion broth and food and this type of thing. Mercy didn't share it here, but her very first client was somebody who had both liver failure and kidney failure and had already had a liver transplant. And for me as a physician, even when I was working doing medical missionary work, I was in charge of health ministry at my church. And I would have a lot of people come up to me with things that I didn't know either what to do about or because of my license. It's really interesting, right? Because we go to medical school and we want to help people, but then you have restrictions because the way that medicine or anything is set up nowadays, you need to work within your own scope. And if you work outside of that, it can be a problem. Even for me to teach about natural remedies, people at first, they were very on guard for me. And so when these things started happening, I just thought, oh, what am I supposed to do? And when I went to Mercy's place and I heard about how she took care of a lady who had had autoimmune liver failure, had a liver transplant, had kidney failure, and was now going to the hospital because she was throwing up blood because of all the blood vessels that had engorged in her esophagus, and it wasn't able to get through the liver, and now she was, having these issues, and she was sent to the hospital and discharged home on hospice. And I would not have touched that patient. I don't know if any other person would have touched that patient. Would any of you have touched that patient? I mean, like, I know somebody who is a nurse, and she helped to treat a family, and they knew that their family member was terminal. When that family member died under her care as a medical missionary worker, they pursued her, and she went to prison. And so for me to hear about stuff like that, I was scared. How many of you would be scared? Yes. So, but Mercy, she said, well, you know what I did? I researched what should people with liver failure eat? What should people with kidney failure eat? And then when she came home, I was there with green juice, and I was very careful about her diet. And that woman, within 2 months, she was so much better that they said she didn't qualify for hospice anymore. Isn't that a miracle? And there have been people who have been able to get off of dialysis even, or have had their kidney failure improve significantly, and this type of thing. And so I have just seen that with these simple changes that can be made, that these very difficult conditions can be reversed or at least lived with, and people can get their quality of life back. And it just goes to show that, yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that God will prepare a table for us. Amen? That table brings us healing. And so I just want to encourage you with that. Sometimes we get discouraged about the health message because we're like, look at what happened with the pandemic. All these people got sick. All these Adventist people got sick. And is the health message still powerful enough? And we look at what's out there and we think this is what it must be, because there's millions of dollars of research and development here, and here you're just telling us to put onion in someone's rectum. And it doesn't sound scientific, right? But it's like what I was telling you earlier today. We really have to examine, what is it that we believe? Are we going to choose to believe in the Word of God? Or do we believe that it has to have like millions of dollars of R&D for it to be safe and effective? And are we going to look first at that? I want to share one thing, and I'm going to close here. You know, I told you about how I made my health an idol. And any form of idolatry is something that will separate us from God, right? You can believe that, right? It says here in Spirit of Prophecy, the first and second commandment spoken by Jehovah are precepts against idolatry. For idolatry, if practiced, would lead men to great lengths in sin and rebellion and result in the offering of human sacrifices. This is very sobering to me because, you know, in the last few years, this issue of fetal cells being involved in medicine development has been brought up. We're all familiar with this, right? And especially in regards to, you know, the vaccine and exemptions and this kind of thing. And I understand that there was a hospital in Arkansas that they, in terms of giving their employees an exemption, they said, okay, well, we're wondering if those of you who are asking for exemption because of fetal cell involvement, are you using medications like Tylenol, Tums, Preparation H, X-Lax, Maalox, Benadryl, Sudafed, Albuterol, Claritin, Zoloft, Prilosec, azithromycin, aspirin, Lipitor, Motrin, ibuprofen. Apparently, these are all medications that have used fetal cells in their development. Very interesting concept, isn't it? Some of us Adventists, we use some of these medications so much and we think that they're so harmless that we consider them to be almost natural remedies. And what ends up happening is that this, because of our behavior, is changing our theology almost. Because it's going by what we think that we're capable of. And I want to share with you something that a very high-ranking doctor in the Adventist Church has written. He says that the Adventist Church does not condone abortions, but we also support the saving of life and maintenance of herd immunity through responsible vaccination. And then he says this, a huge price was paid in the early 1960s. Do you know what that huge price was? That 1960s, 1970s, that was the time when those fetal cells were taken from the life of a baby and used for this technology in medicine. And an Adventist doctor said that a huge price, a huge sacrifice was paid in 1960s. Since then, many lives have been saved. I want to ask you, what is that belief system? That belief system is that for humans to live and have medications for health, that a baby needed to die. That's the belief system. That is the belief system that modern medicine unknowingly, because I believe many people do not realize this, but I believe that Satan has done this, has put this into our society and our culture, that we would accept it and say it must be necessary. It must be necessary that human life must be taken for the good of society. And I just want us to think about, it is not about safety and efficacy. When it comes to new medications, when it comes to whatever therapies that are being prescribed, we even in the Adventist church, we're wondering, is it safe? Is it effective? No, we have to ask and say, what is the paradigm behind this? And who is responsible for this? And who will we worship when we comply with this? That's my take on it. I know that I went deep into it, but yeah, I hope that that is of benefit to somebody here.
We can close with a prayer, and I just want to encourage everybody tomorrow. I think there is more flyers for people to bring it to the community. We will be talking about autoimmune disorders and what to do about it. And so you can invite your neighbors, your friends. It's very, I think people from the community outreach, they really love these type of programs because, you know, they don't have answers, perhaps. In this, we believe that it can be a blessing to the community, and it can be a very great tool for outreach. The first program that we did was in San Diego, California, and it was an outreach program. And so a lot of people from the community came, and they continue coming till the last day, and they embrace it perhaps a little more than everybody else. So this is a very good tool to reach other people. So we just want to encourage you to just share with other people. Yeah, let's pray. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings. Thank you because you have the answers for the impossibility. You have the answers for everything. You have the answers for these times, how to survive strong in these times. And just want to ask you to help us to study and all those principles that you have given us through the Spirit prophecy in the Bible, and we can be ready for what is happening, what will happen in the future also. So I just want to ask you a blessing, special blessings for everybody that has come here, that you can increase more and more knowledge, that you can also help them to be involved helping others as time will become more difficult. Thank you so much for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. We will see you hopefully tomorrow, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much again for coming this afternoon, and we appreciate your ministry this morning and this afternoon, and let's all be there tomorrow. We have last minute, like you said, opportunities to still invite friends and relatives or neighbors. So use those precious moments. So see you tomorrow, and God bless you all. If you have any questions, I think you will be standing at the door right now for that. Thank you so much. As another announcement.
I just wanted to tell you an information about a lady from my Bible studies, Mary Horn. She is sick now already a few weeks, and I just talked with her sister now, and she told me that it's like about, it goes towards the end. May you pray for this family. Mary Horn was very faithful, doing every Bible study, filling up everything all the time. But now she's in conscience, and her family is receiving us. We can go in there, we can talk to them, they're open. May you keep this family in prayer, I ask you, this week in a special way. Thank you. And Gerhard and me,